So before we start, I hit you guys up on Instagram, and when I mentioned it to our followers, and a lot of them they got introduced to TorqueBlock, which is very surprising because you have 10,000 followers over there, and we thought
Correct.
some
Yeah.
of them have to overlap. Some of them were ecstatic about the fact that we were doing this. But then, just for our followers, what is it that TorqueBlock exactly does in a nutshell?
So for us, the primary thing is, to give the best customer service and the support. So if you look at the tire industry in India, right?
Yeah.
So you don't have something which is more customer centric,
Yeah.
and everybody just buys what is available, and nobody is getting educated properly. And that's where we come in, to give the best customer support, and at the same time to educate people who are not aware of the tires which they need for their motorcycle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That's good. So speaking of tires, the tire
Yeah.
industry and all of that, I've seen in my family itself, and my father had to go and buy tires for our cars and all of that. We
Okay.
always used to go by whatever they would whatever the tire dealer would tell us, and it would just be, and our options were limited to some of the big brands, say Michelin
Correct.
or Seat. I think
Bridgestone,
I'm
Yes.
running
Goodyear.
out of a couple of
Yeah.
Bridgestone, Goodyear, and all of
Good,
these brands.
Pirelli, yes.
Yes. And we used to also look at some of the other manufacturers, some of the lesser known manufacturers that are out there. I don't know if it's similar to motorcycles or two wheelers in general, but how how does this work that with these small time manufacturers that are coming up, are they really at par with these guys? Can you recommend some of the underrated brands to people who don't really know about, you know, these
For
brands that
sure,
are
yes.
in existence?
Correct. So for example, the superbike segment, right? There are very niche brands which actually have the right tire for the superbikes.
Okay.
But if you look at the middleweight or the entry level motorcycles, there are not many brands that involve performance oriented motorcycles. I'm talking about. But like
Okay.
you said, there are some brands where they're getting there in terms of performance. For example, the Apollo
Mm-hmm.
Alphas and all are really good tires. And
Mm-hmm.
now TVS is getting into the game, and MRF is there for a while, but they're not on par with the premium segment. But I'm
Right.
sure,
Okay.
if guys improve their infrastructure in India and all that, I'm sure they will get along there.
Right. Because what I see is it's just lack of marketing on these guys. Because the other brands are so big that they have sort of have the financial backing to invest a lot in their
Correct.
marketing. But I feel the other ones don't, so they sort of lose out on that. Um, and that's why we're sort of wondering about some of the
For sure.
underrated brands that are out there.
Yes. So the marketing is one thing, but again, the market is very niche in the superbike segment. But if you look at the
Mm-hmm.
domestic market, right, that's where the niche segment, like brands like Pirelli, Michelin, Metzeler, they don't have much of market share in the entry level segment. They are focused only
Mm-hmm.
on the superbike segment, right? So
Yeah.
when it comes to India, it's a very cost sensitive market. That's the
Yeah.
reason some brands have a larger market share in the entry level motorcycles.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. So I'm sure it's like the entry level brands of India will actually get there for superbikes going forward is what I believe in actually, because we are capable. Definitely, we need to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing.
True.
Yeah.
But so nowadays, like most of the bikes, they come with ABS, but the
Yes.
previous bikes, which didn't have ABS. So does
Yeah.
the tire selection matters if you have ABS or not, or you can go?
100%. Yes. So ABS is totally depending on your braking actually. But back then, what happens is people used to say that if you learn riding a motorcycle without ABS, you will actually improve your riding skills.
All right.
You'll actually improve your braking. And some bikes are very different, right? I mean, all the bikes are different compared to each other. And this is where tires come into picture. Some tires back then, even in racing, for example, racing does not use ABS.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it all depends on your riding and how much of a grip you can extract from the tires.
So how
Hmm.
does one select a tire for for a non-ABS bike? Like what all things does he has to see or
First
she?
thing is first thing is you must be aware of what you're riding basically,
All right.
right? And based on your requirements of riding and what sort of motorcycle you use and how your braking is actually there, and based on that we can actually see, for example, let's say a KTM Duke 390. The motorcycle is so versatile that you can actually put a dual purpose tire as well as a track tire, right?
Yeah.
That comes down to your preferences. So even if you don't have ABS, it comes down to what purpose you're riding it on.
All right.
And then based on that, you improve your skills also.
Mm.
So it's
But
very,
yeah,
very
that's sort of
subjective.
what I wanted to jump onto. You first of all, let me take a step back here. And I think this is a question for both of you. What was it that led to you actually starting TorqueBlock, and what has sort of gone into building that goodwill in a very, I would say, now you can correct me on this when I say a very oversaturated market. What has that sort of been like, especially Bangalore, because we've had people in the past, even with our followers, and those guys are so much into making sure that they have
Yeah.
every detail sorted off on their vehicles, that is starting from the tires all the way up. So
Yeah.
what has that process been like for you guys, from the start and now, where you see where you are at? uh how has that evolution come about?
So, according to me, actually, I'm sure the tire segment in India, it's like you said, it is an oversaturated market. But the oversaturation is basically of how the dealers promote the tires, right? And
Yeah.
it's more like, if some customers looking for a particular tire, just because that's not if it's not moving fast, you just push it to the customer and put it on his head and then forget about it. That's where we understood that tires can actually, they have a lot more potential in Bangalore, especially because the superbike market and the performance oriented market is huge.
Yeah.
And what we believe is that the more the customers understand what they need, the more they will actually understand what tire to purchase, rather than just going to any random shop and picking up whatever is available. So to bring out the awareness in this potential is what we believe in, and that's where we actually started focusing on tires.
Rowan?
After Rowan having
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Like, see, bro, like, first of all, like, Rahul is like a technical guy, right? Like, you can ask him all the questions about ABS and stuff like that, and he's the right guy to actually answer.
Yeah.
If you ask me, probably I would say no. Yeah. But in terms of business wise, like, why
Yeah.
we chose actually tires, what led to it, like, I can probably give you a better answer so that it actually helps and makes sense to all of you guys, right? Like, see,
For
back
sure.
in India, like, we started about like in February 2019, right? Just before the lockdown. Okay.
Lockdown.
We just went online, like, saw that there was no tires, like, okay, like I just Googled, okay, like motorcycle tires, elite tires or something. I saw nothing, right? I just saw some tires on Amazon and stuff like that, and I was like, what's all this? Like, why is it that nobody wants to sell tires online? You know, um, so I mean, then that was the plan. Like, okay, then we did some research and stuff like that, and saw that like there is actually a huge potential and an opportunity, right? Coming down to the business side of it, like, this is just like an advice. Okay, like, I know you guys are young as well. Okay, this is what I would advise my younger self, right? You would rather do business in something which is actually like completely saturated, right? Rather than choosing something really, really specific and niche, which has no market at all, right?
Mm.
Because I have actually done both, and I have actually lost a lot of money, and I've learned my lesson, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm actually saying this. So like you do business which has a lot of competition, okay? But how you differentiate yourself is actually, like you see what your competition is actually doing, right? And you do it 1 2 3 steps better than them.
True.
Yeah.
As simple as that. Like, see, we are selling the same old tire, which almost all the dealers have. It's not like only TorqueBlock has these tires, right? So how do you differentiate TorqueBlock from another dealer, like in any market, right? That's the question, right? Uh, so you differentiate with your service, right?
Yeah.
Because I've had in my own business, within TorqueBlock itself, we have had products, which served a very very niche market, uh, which had no competition at all, right?
Hmm.
uh, when you have a product or a service which has no competition at all, like something is actually really wrong. That means like nobody really wants to enter that thing, or so that's how I see it. Talking about the business side of it, um, that's how we actually plan to do going ahead as well, right? If your service is good, if your customer service is good, like you obsess over your customers, uh, you actually offer them what you want, you have a problem solving product, right? uh, uh, you're gonna like customers are gonna like you, and they will actually buy from you, man. Like as simple as that. You don't have to like reinvent the wheel or something, right? uh,
Yeah.
like see, innovations are in like different parts, right? Like we are not actually trying to manufacture a new tire or something like that. Tires have existed from the last 100 years, right? But what you can actually innovate in is in terms of the service, right? Like how do you serve the customer,
Yeah.
how is the tire fitted, like what kind, you really dig deep into the problem of the customer. You ask him the right questions, what he exactly needs, like with this particular tire, whether he's just like using his bike for his normal office routine daily ride, or he's going off road to be a little adventurous, he's taking it to the track and things like that. You ask those questions which nobody else does, and then you position
Yeah.
your product and service at the right time, right? And you just do it faster, better than anybody else in the market, right? And you have a sale, so it's as
Hmm.
simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. But I want to switch gears here a bit. I touched upon Instagram when we started, and I'm coming back to Instagram again. So with the following like 10,000, when you basically sign up to Instagram, you in effect become a content creator, right? uh doesn't matter whether you're a business or just someone who just wants to make stories or whatever. um what has that process been like? Because you guys are really active, which is very which is sort of unheard of, if you look at some of the other people in this industry, some of the other dealers that are there. You guys are there, you guys are making content, you guys are distributing really valuable insights into this business and into this industry, which I think a lot of people just can't get anywhere, just at their fingertips. What has that process been like for you guys, switching from just dialing up the gears and making good amount of content and good and consistent amount of content for your followers?
Yeah, dude, like Anshik, like see, Instagram, if there's no Instagram, like probably we would have never been over here. I would have never met Rahul, you know, I would have never, like, we wouldn't have come so far, right? It
Yeah.
all started because of Instagram, and stuff like that. Bro, like, see, like, nowadays, content is really, really important, dude. Content is like not king or anything, right? It's like the actual kingdom, right? So, like, we actually live by that. If there's no content, like we are not supposed to be doing business. That's what I personally believe, and I tell my teammates the same thing, right? You spend most of your time, like almost 5 to 6 hours, 10 hours on your phone, right? Like everybody does. And if you're not there on that particular phone where a potential customer is spending like 8 to 10 hours, then why are you in business, dude? you know you shouldn't be in business, right? So having said that, Instagram is a way, like, I mean, like, way to show your authenticity, right? I mean, like, see, there's a reason why we are doing all this also, right? uh,
Yeah.
you tell the truth, you tell your real story. There's nothing to hide, you know uh, you tell the truth, you tell why you're actually doing it. Like, it's not only money, or it's not only selling tires or something like that. It's to actually bring about a positive impact in the society, um, generate employment, like, and like fulfill a lot of dreams for all of us. Okay. Um, I like money a lot. I'm sure you guys too, right?
Yeah.
So of course we all need money. I mean, lots of money. But it's not only about the money. It's to bring other people up. Like show them there's a way out. Like give them direction. So that's the whole purpose of TorqueBlock, dude. Like we might just be selling tires. Tires is just a byproduct, right? What we are selling. But the reason behind that is it's completely different, right? We want to uplift the people who are who have no direction to actually go. That's why we actually hire and take really young people in the team, so that they can actually get some sort of a direction, some sort of a stage where they can actually take it ahead. Yeah. So Instagram, I mean, like everything happens on Instagram. As long as Instagram is running, we are there. Not only for Instagram, any other platform comes up, like tomorrow or three
Yeah.
years down the line, or 2 years down the line, you just put authentic content, right? You just have
Yeah.
to
Correct.
be there online where the people are watching you. That's what,
Yeah.
that's about it, dude.
Did
And if
did
you're
you
not
guys?
active, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No. No. Did you guys jump ship to TikTok when it was there?
No, dude, like really not. Uh, like see, I still believe like like there is some catch up which Facebook probably needs to do. It's losing kind of traction. Okay, but like Instagram is still able to actually like come up with stuff like reels and stories. They're constantly innovating and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the user base is huge over there. Bro, like 90% of our business is done on Instagram, right?
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
that's where all the awareness is actually developed, right? And we just want to actually like do more of it, dude. Like going ahead, like 10x, 100x of what we are actually doing now.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right. So speaking things of value, how does one go about changing a tire?
Rahul,
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't get your question.
So how does one go about changing a tire? Like when does one?
When do you know
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the time to change a tire for a motorbike?
Got it. Got it. Yes. So, technically speaking, a lot of parameters involved in the wear and tear of a tire, right?
All right.
And most of them, they only depend on the tire wear indicator. It's called the TWI. It's there in every tire.
All right.
So you'll have a depth gauge where the rubber actually goes down as per the kilometers are going on the tire. But that's not the only reason why we have to change the tire. So there are other issues wherein your uneven wear. For example, if you're riding only in the straight highways, your center part will become bald, and the right side and left side will become like the uneven side. So that's when you need to consider it also. And regular punctures is something which we have to adapt to also, because in India the roads are very uneven, and you can't predict anything in this in our roads.
Yeah. Yeah.
So to avoid those, you need to keep an eye on your punctures also, because regular punctures means your tire is actually getting weaker. But at the same time, we should also understand that what's the life of the tire, like how much have you used, have you created a dead spot or not. So all those things come into play when you're actually changing the tire. It's not just about the tire wear indicator, but it's an overall parameter, which I would say. Yeah.
All right. All right. So one more on the technical side. So what kind of a tire ply is best for off-roading?
So yeah, this is a very good question, because most of the off-road motocross tires are all bias ply tires.
All right.
Reason being is they are not that flexible at the radials. Yeah.
All right. All right.
So most of motocross and off-road autocross and supercross, those guys, most of them, they use bias ply tires only.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. But so I'll actually come back to the point on motocross. We have so as I mentioned, we've had guests in the past who've just been actively involved in the racing culture that's there in India, the motorsport culture and all of that. I reckon you get customers who are just regular customers who just want tires for their bikes, nothing else, just want to drive from A to Z. But then there are these other guys, these enthusiasts who are so particular about everything. How does that interaction go about? How does that differ because you're actively dealing with customer service, and obviously you're talking to these guys on a very
Yeah, that's a
regular
good one
basis.
actually. Yes, yes,
So
yes.
how does
In
that
fact,
how do you balance that?
for us, we find it more easier to talk to customers who are the enthusiasts, actually speaking, right?
Hmm.
Honestly speaking, guys who are in the enthusiast industry or in the racing industry per se, they are more knowledgeable and they actually know what they exactly want. So they come up,
Okay.
they tell us the time, if it's available, we give it to them immediately. But the main challenge comes to guys who don't know what they're going to buy. A motocross racer, he'll know what he wants for his machine because he's the one who's going to control it, right?
Yeah.
So he's
Yeah.
very sure on what he's going to pick it up. But the guy who's actually going from point A to point B, he's confused. So to bring the awareness for him, that's the main challenge. Yes.
Hmm. But then, so what are sort of the interactions been like? Because I'm pretty sure, even as a customer, I've been around these people who just have had ridiculous demands. So I can imagine the sort
Yes.
of interactions that you
Correct.
would have had. How has that been like? I mean, how have you dealt with those guys?
So yeah, that's a good one because see, motocross is something which is very, 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 very niche, right? But when it comes
Yeah.
to track racing, it's a very different ball game. Like guys who have super bikes and who are going for track days and those kind of guys, they are very particular about this is what they want because they have
Mm-hmm.
created this comfort zone in their mind that I'm comfortable with this tire. Let me just go with this only. So even if you suggest the better ones, they won't agree because they are comfortable in that. So these are the conversations which we actually create. But there are sometimes people who want to experiment. So, for example, if somebody has a lead class bike, they would like to try all the tires available to see which is their sweet spot. And motocross is also something which is very similar, but it depends on the bike because motocross is more of a customized thing which is happening because factory
Uh-huh.
setup motocross bikes are very limited in India.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, this is the conversations which we usually have. That's the main thing.
Hmm. That sounds interesting. I mean, so you basically deal with a really diverse group of customers pretty much every
Absolutely.
day.
Every day.
Every
But
day.
also,
So
just to add over here, right, a small
yeah.
point, yeah. Uh, See, bro, like it's actually fun to actually deal with a guy who doesn't know what he wants, right?
Yeah,
See,
absolutely.
selling a tire to a person who knows exactly what he wants, there's no fun. Okay, like you just tell the tire is available, you tell the price, and then that's it, right?
Yeah.
But there's like so much fun when it comes to somebody who doesn't know what he wants, right? So this is where our value actually comes in, right? As like how do you actually like that's an opportunity for you to actually differentiate, right? So you
Hmm.
ask the customer, right, with simple questions, right? I mean, like what is your end goal with this tire, right? I mean, like, okay, like you just want to travel from A to B to your office, you want to actually do something, you want to go on a ride, you want to get a little bit adventurous or something like that. You say the price, you show them the comparison, and then you like come up with the solution, right? So it's more of a
Yeah.
consultative approach rather than like just, hey bro, like see these tires are there, just take it, this is the price, just take it, right? That's what I tell my whole team. You're not like salespeople over here, you're more of a consultant, right? When you
Mm-hmm.
actually speak or when you actually talk, ask the people the right questions, ask them what exactly they want out of this purchase, what's the need. Probably he might have like 20K to spend on a tire, but probably his requirements only is of 10K, right?
Yeah.
So you just don't sell him just because he has 20K. You offer him the right product as per his needs. That is the time when the customer really appreciates, right? Hey man, these guys actually saved me money. They just
Yeah.
then sell, like nobody likes to be sold, they like to be offered a solution,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
it's a process, like which we are also learning on a day-to-day basis. But the real challenge is with people who actually don't know what they want, and
Mm-hmm.
we are actually going to invest more of our time and like to spread the same message so that they actually get to know what exactly they want. You know,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, because I think it starts off with that. The questions are very important for anything because a lot of times you go to any of these stores, and for me especially, these things are alien to me. So whatever they say, and they sell it, they basically sell it to me. That's what they're trying to do, and that you feel like, okay, this makes sense. Let's just go ahead with it. And then when the problems come up later on, and then you go back to them, and then they go, oh, because you didn't really do this, you didn't do that. I mean, how was I supposed
Correct.
to know about that? So that's absolutely on point there.
Adding
Yeah,
more.
dude, like, yeah. Go
Sorry,
ahead,
sorry,
Shivam.
sorry.
No, dude, like I was just saying,
Go
adding a
ahead.
point more, like you got to get innovative in terms of sales, in terms of how you talk to people, in terms of your service. Otherwise, there's no chance, dude. Like you will be eaten away by, like other people who would actually do better than you
Yeah,
know. So it is,
yeah.
I mean, not only in the tire industry, dude, it's in any industry, right? You got to be up to the
Oh,
mark,
for sure.
uh, you got to have the energy, you got to have the enthusiasm, like you don't call up when a customer calls you, oh, like what's your name, you don't do that, right? You speak to them with energy, you
Yeah.
spread the energy, your enthusiasm on the phone, uh, which actually like makes the customer, right? Yeah, man, like these guys are real, these guys are real authentic, like you don't respond to them, like nobody, no tire dealer actually like calls you back, dude. you know uh, that's where we are actually building up like a CRM and having to write it down and all that stuff. Say suppose Anshik
Yeah.
wanted a tire, he called us up today, but he wants a tire like after 1 month, right? uh, the whole team is actually being trained to like enter in CRM, like, okay, Anshik called us today, he wants a tire 1 month later. So 1 month later, you will definitely get a call from us. Hey, Anshik, like, what's up, man? Like, what happened to you about your tires? Uh, that's how like the customer service part and the sales part actually come in, right? You can do
Hmm.
this with any industry, dude. It's not that you need to do this with the tire industry. So these are all the things, like small tips, and I mean, I hope it helps people who watches, because it has
For
helped
Absolutely.
sure.
us
Yeah.
a lot, and
Yeah.
that's why I'm actually sharing all this. Yeah.
No, absolutely. It all makes sense because I've worked in a sales environment, and this sort of works out. It makes all the sense in the world because these are the things that we didn't do, that we should have done, and it would have obviously bore different results. But anyways, back to reality again. Shivam had something to say.
Yeah. So, do you guys plan to manufacture your own tire?
Rowan,
What,
you
Rahul?
want to say? Yeah, for
It
sure. I
depends,
mean, there's
bro.
nothing like
I
it.
mean,
I mean, I would say, like, it's like a growth process,
All right.
and how we grow with time really matters, right? And if ever there's
Yeah.
a time and opportunity where we need to do it, means then I think there's nothing that can stop us.
exactly. I just want to add a small thing over there. The need actually comes from the customer, right? It just doesn't come from us. It's not like because we want to actually manufacture a tire that we manufacture a tire,
Correct.
right? uh, is there really a need in the market to manufacture another tire, which like things like that, right? Or you actually see what other things you can actually do. So it
Yeah.
all depends upon the customer, dude. Yeah, of course we have our own innovations and stuff like that, but having said that, if there is an opportunity, if there is a market which actually needs tires, then definitely yes.
I have a few questions for Rahul.
Sure, bro.
So basically, I know very less about tires, so I would like to know like what are the different compounds used for tire.
Awesome. So yeah, let's just say the most popular tire brands like Pirelli, Michelin, Metzeler, they have their
Yeah.
own innovation and patented technology for each and every tire, right? And
Hmm.
if you look at the most popular models in India, like the KTM's and all that, they all actually come with one universal size. Okay, and for you, that size is basically like it's called the 110/70 R17. 110 being the width of the tire, the 70 being the height of the tire, and
All
17
right.
being the rim size, right?
All right.
And for the rear, you have the 150/60 R17. So I'm
All
just
right.
giving you this reference because this is the most popular tire right now,
All right.
the size, I would say. Like you said, the compounds, right? Now this totally differs. See, for example, Pirelli has like 3 different types of tires for the KTMs, and each different tire, irrespective of the size, even though the size is same, the compound structure of the tires are different, and it totally depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a track tire, you need to have a soft rubber. If you're looking for a durable tire, you need to have a bicompound tire. So all those things matter. And this is how the development of tires also keep going. And as of now, I think Michelin is the one who's more advanced in terms of their tire construction. Yeah.
All right. So, like you said, developments. Like, what are the new kinds of tire developments recently over the last
So
year?
Michelin has patented a technology called the 2CT plus, which is the dual compound structure, wherein the expansion of tire with heat and cold temperatures, right?
All right.
It's not as marginal as other tires. So you have much more grip even if the life of the tire drops. So there's a theory where there's a tire model called the Road 5, and there's also a tire model called the Road 4, which both these tires are from Michelin. Okay. But what Road 5 is good at is basically, even after 4,800 kilometers of mileage put on that tire, it performs as good as the new Road 4 tires. And this is because of the patented technology Michelin has done, which is called the 2CT plus.
Okay.
All right.
So like that, even the Apollos are actually improving with the steel radial, and they have the V-grooved radial pattern for better wet conditions and all those things.
All right.
So every brand has their own strengths. That's the whole idea. But the point here is that how are you going to use that tire, right? What's your potential with those tires, and are you going to pull out the maximum out of it, or you're just going to keep it for your durability and your life? But we have come a long way. Yeah, that I should tell. Yes.
And what was your most purchased track tire?
Track tire. That's the Pirelli Supercorsas.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the stock tire which comes in the RSV4, the ZX10RR, and the Street Triple RS.
All right.
But then, in terms of as customers, what we don't see is how I would say difficult or delicate your interactions are with the suppliers of these tires. And a lot of, I mean, we just walk in, we see a tire, whatever, we have the conversation about what's good, what's not, make the purchase. But then it's you guys who are, actively dealing with the guys who have to provide the tires to you. What is that like? Because we sort of don't know about what goes on behind, I would say, closed doors with you guys. Are there easy conversations to have? Is it predicated on the contracts that you have, and has that really changed because of COVID by any chance? The interactions and everything.
Yeah, I'd like to actually answer this question. Yeah. Due to COVID, I mean, like, I don't think much has changed. All right. Like, although our buying process and things like that are almost the same, what was there pre-COVID? I mean, I really don't know how it was like really pre-COVID, because we just started when COVID actually also started, right? So basically, it is after like post-COVID that we are actually doing business. All right. Like literally. Having said that, it's a tough process, bro. I mean, it's not easy, right? Anshik and Shivam, like, you got to actually, know your distributors very well. Go meet them, like, make your connections, make the agreements, so that you actually like, get the best deals, right? Get the best prices, so that you are able to actually offer the same best prices to the customers as well. Where you buy from is as important as like who you sell to, right? So procurement and sourcing of tires is a very, very important and a critical process for us. I would rate that at one of like at the
most
top.
important.
Yeah, at the top, along with the sales or what we do. Yeah. Nothing much has changed. Some companies whom we deal with have come up with apps and stuff like that, where we are actually able to place an order on time. Not many companies, I would say, but some of them, yes. But mostly still, like, I would say like in India, at least like there's like 99% of tire sales is like done offline, dude. Okay.
Hmm.
Uh, that leaves us so much of opportunity for us to actually scale, like digitally in terms of, like that's where we actually see the opportunity, right? There are hardly a few websites, a couple of websites who are actually, like selling online, and their process is still not really efficient. Like
Yeah.
we, rather than actually selling online, it's more of social commerce combined with messaging commerce, what we actually do, you know.
Yeah.
So people have actually kind of changed from, like just going and buying from a website. They would rather want to actually text the business or just talk to them before they actually make a purchase. um,
Yeah.
you know so that's where we actually really come in. So most of our sales is done, like by just texting, dude. Like on Instagram, on WhatsApp, on calls and stuff like that. So that's how things are actually changing, like overall I'm saying. Like, so it stands the same, like whether with like when we buy tires also, it's all like messaging on WhatsApp to our suppliers, bro. Like, these are all the tires what we need, like I'll
Yeah.
pay you the money in the tires. So that's how it's actually happening. Yeah, but the process is like super important. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
say. Yeah.
All comes down to the process. You do anything and it's the process. You just can't sort of get away with it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like several companies are there who actually, like just for the sake of the process. Okay, you need this signature, you need the manager signature, you need that signature. There's a delay, right? And that
Yeah.
delay, like, is at the end of the day, your customer is being, like he's responsible, he's waiting, right?
Yeah.
And like in that process, the whole thing is actually like, like the whole purpose of the thing is actually gone, right? So don't make your process also so complicated that like people just run away from your business. Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
we wouldn't want that. Um, that's great. So we were discussing the technology before. Is there a technology that you've sort of heard of that might be coming in for in different tires that you're sort of excited about? Is there something that's exciting that's coming up with tires? Because the two of us aren't obviously well versed with tires, but then since you're in the business, I reckon that there would be new products launching that would be miles better than the older ones. So is there something that's coming up that people should look out for?
Yeah, for sure. So right now, see, the thing is, the last quarter of every year is where the manufacturers actually show us, what's coming up next, right?
Okay.
For example, Interceptor, the Pirellis are
Yeah.
getting replaced by the Fiat tires. I'm sure
All
you're
right.
aware of that. So that is
Okay.
something which we are looking forward to, both in terms of sales and the response from the customer side.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something we are interested in, and other tires, like from Pirelli, Metzeler, and all those things. You do get new tires, but it depends, what market they are targeting actually. So once we get to know what they're coming up with, I'm sure it's going to be an exciting thing. Yeah.
But are they tire launches as grand as other products? I mean, say, obviously it's not at the same level as say someone a company
Correct.
launching a car or a company launching a bike or
Correct.
something, because it's an event in itself. But how do tire unveils go? Some say a new tire is coming up. Is that a very big thing, or is that just done on a very this thing that okay, we have this new tire coming out, check it out, and then they just distribute it to other retailers?
Understood. Yes. So each and every brand, right, they have
Yeah.
a flagship tire. So only
Okay.
the flagship tires will be unveiled for the media releases and the global launch. But the mid-range tires or the entry-level tires will all be in a subtle this thing. So they just update the website and they just go about it. But for
Okay.
example, tires like the Super Corsas, the Rosso Corsas from Pirelli, or the M9 RRs from the Metzlers or Bridgestone S22s, these tires are very specific to a certain market. So they do have that market share where people are very interested to know about these tires. So when this
Okay.
launch happens, the brand actually invites mainstream journalists like motorcycle.com, MCN, and Revzilla and those guys. These guys they actually review the tire in certain conditions. For example, if it's an adventure tire, it's going to be in some trails. If it's a track tire, it's going to be in some like iconic tracks where they test the tire in the high tech, the high end super bikes. So yes, there are some tires where the market is huge, where people are looking forward to it massively. These particular tires are targeted in a different way, and they do have it as a grand launch.
Okay, so
What
it just
happens in
comes
India?
down to the kind of tire
Sorry.
that it is. Sorry, yeah, Rohan, go ahead.
No, I want Rahul to actually say what happens in India, right? Like, I mean, like what happens to the domestic, like how do they launch the tires over here?
Here, it's primarily it's more of the web. They actually update the websites, and the
Okay.
Indian automotive guys, they actually take a charge and post on their social media handles that this is coming and all that. For example, TVS, when they launched the Euro Grip, right, and other media guys are actually, they were promoting the tires in their ads and all that. Even PowerTrip, for example, they actually showcase their Apollo Alphas in their videos and all those things. Because Indian manufacturers, only India media can actually promote those tires, because the sizes are very limited, and it goes to the niche entry level segment as compared to the superbike segment. So even the scale of marketing is very less compared to the international level.
Got it.
Yeah.
So just move on to the final thing before we wrap up. So if I'm someone who wants to buy, who's on the fence about buying a tire, what are
Yes.
I would say 5 things that I should keep in mind before I sort of hit you guys up or approach you that I am in need of a tire? What are my options?
So
So
I'll
the
add
first
I'll
thing
add to this. I'll add to this so that it's more
is,
simple to you. Okay, let's say I'm just a enthusiast. Okay, I go on weekly rides.
awesome.
So okay, so my aim is to ride from place A to place B,
Got it.
mostly on highways. Probably here and there off-roading. So this is the scenario that I would
This
like to
is
add to.
sort of your ideal, I mean, some a
Question.
customer type, I would say.
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure. So in this kind of situation, I would recommend, for example, which location do you stay, right? If you're in a very humid place, you might need a little bit harder compound. But if you're in a hill station, you might need something much more grippy. So things
Yeah.
like this also matter. So when we converse with the customer, we actually get to know their entire database of what's their riding actually, the frequency of riding, and the regular location which they actually try to visit. And if you're doing regular touring, then definitely, as per your bike's recommendation, we would recommend some tire for you. But if you're fixed that you're going to do weekend rides, and if you're interested in only touring, or once in a while you're going to take your bike out, and your tire maintenance, all these things considered, we will definitely recommend a tire for you. And also, we at the end we actually consider the budget you're looking for. So because in one particular size, you might have like 10 different tires, right?
Yeah.
And in those 10 tires, based on your purpose and your type of riding and your budget, we will of course have a tire, and that will be the right tire for you. Yeah.
So how do you maintain your tire? Like, do those polishes that come, do they actually work?
So see, if you're actually keeping a tire for display in a store, for example, or if you're keeping a bike in a showroom for display, then you can do the tire polish. All right.
All right.
Because
All
what
right.
happens is, if you're doing regular riding, first of all, tire polish doesn't help in any way, because if you're riding today and if you're taking the bike tomorrow, there's no point in actually polishing the tire today, right?
Yeah.
And having said that, the tire polish in specific doesn't help, because it creates a sealant on top of the tire,
All right.
which takes a while to heat up. So as you know, the
Okay.
tires will actually give their optimum grip only if the temperature is a little bit higher. So they need to heat up more. And the tire polish will prevent that, and you might have to put up a little more kilometers to heat up the tire. But having said that, the most important tire maintenance tip I would give is that people actually ignore the tire pressure, right? The optimum tire pressure recommended by the manufacturer, if it is recommended, then you will have uneven wear and tear on your tire. So it's always best to check your motorcycle tire. For example, if you've not ridden it for a week, it's ideal that you check the tire pressure and then you start off your ride. So tire pressure is very important. And at the same time, you can't park a motorcycle in the same place for a long time. Even if
Yeah.
you're going out of
Okay.
station, it's recommended that you tell somebody to move your bike up and down, to and fro. Reason being that if your bike is parked in a loaded position, it creates a dead spot on your tire. I'm talking about a month or a month and a half, right?
Okay.
So this is the reason tire maintenance is very important, right? You need to understand your science behind the tire maintenance also. Yeah.
Yeah. People just ignore that. They just sit on and then
Yeah.
that's
That
unfortunate.
was really helpful. Yeah.
Well, we're glad that you guys took the time out to have this with us. We are
Anytime.
absolutely fortunate to have had you guys because this was of a lot of value to us, especially me, who normally doesn't understand a lot of things in this regard. But then, yeah, I know that I need to take care of my tires. So before we go,
Yeah.
can you just give out your socials for our followers to find you?
Yes, for sure. So in Instagram, we are always there as at TorqueBlock,
Yeah.
TorqueBlock, right? And
Yeah.
we are almost available like 24/7, and you can hit us up anytime with whatever needs you need for tires.
Cool. And
Yeah,
for
and the
even for
WhatsApp
business
number also.
inquiries, even
Yeah,
for
Yeah,
business
WhatsApp number
inquiries,
one.
that's the one, right? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, dude, like basically people can actually call us. That's 6366-625-625. All right. They can
Perfect.
WhatsApp us at 6366-625-625, or just
Yeah.
DM us, bro. Yeah, just DM us. I mean, like
Anytime. Yeah.
we have like really crazy young people who handle our Instagram page. Like they can actually message you at 5 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock at night. Whenever you want to actually speak to us, we're almost there.
Yeah.
At your service, and we'll be
Yeah,
happy to actually like text you back and solve your problems. Yeah.
You
for
heard
sure.
it first, guys. You heard it first. You've seen it now. You have to do it. Get on to TalkBlock for your tire-based requirements. If you're in Bangalore or anywhere, hit them up and they'll help you out for it. Well, thank you so much, Rohan. Thank you so much, Rahul, for your time. And
Awesome,
wish you
bro.
have
Nice
a
talking to
great day ahead.
you.
And yeah,
See you,
we'll see you
Shivam.
around in cyberspace.
Thank you, man.
Awesome.
Take care.
See you
And take
guys.
Shivam.
Bye.
All right.
Thank
See
you so
ya.
much. Thank you guys.
Bye
Take
bye.
care.
Bye bye.